Stop being afraid to risk a little bit. What's up, everybody? We are Rebel Wealth Radio today with superstar Chris Burns.
Hey, what's happening?
And we're going to talk a little bit today about not passing up every opportunity. If opportunity knocks, man, are we going to open the door for it? Are we going to risk a little bit? Now, I'm no financial advisor, but I'm advising you right now to stop playing small, and we're going to talk about that today.
Yes, sir. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, man, I'm good. Yeah,
Good.
Excited to be on here with you.
Always. Yes, yes, we are not financial advisors. Let's make that clear. People coming back at us being like, well, they told me this. No, we're not. But we're telling you this, that...
You do everything I tell you, so you're in trouble.
Yeah, especially from a guy that's got 8 toes on 1 foot. You don't want to listen to Is that people are gonna comment and be like, Steve, I've got to see that.
You got to see that.
Can you put the foot up on the table?
My 8 toes are coming out in episode 7. Yep.
We're on 11 right now.
Oh,
We're going to
crap.
go back and edit episode 7, and somehow Andy will put his toes in there for you guys.
No doubt. No,
No, absolutely, guys. We're talking about we talk to people, and there's a lot of times, and I'll tell you, for me, I was there years ago where, there was an investment opportunity, and people think that you have to already have millions of dollars to be an investor, right? So I don't know what I did, Andy. I think I just broke your mic. No, I'm just
Sounds good. I still hear you.
pop. Wrong. No, you don't, guys. You can invest at any level. I mean, if you have $100, like, I know it sounds crazy, and I'm not over here selling you some get rich quick scheme. I'm not. I watch enough American Greed that that's not what we're doing. There's not even a business I'm selling you or an investment I'm selling you, because I don't have that. What I'm telling you is that whatever your financial situation is right now, whether you have $100 blowing a hole in your pocket that you can spend, or you have $100 million, there's an investment opportunity for you at some point and at some level. And I think it goes back to kind of what we talked about last episode. It's action. Put it into action. So I think you got to start somewhere, right? And I think people think that, well, these millionaires and these billionaires, they already have money. You know what? I'm telling you right now, that's wrong. I've talked to many millionaires who came from absolutely nothing, literally nothing at all.
That's where I started.
There you go. See? And so, that whole idea that, the rich are just going to keep getting richer and the poor is going to get poorer, that mindset goes back to what we were talking about last time, scarcity mindset, right? So, no, you can invest, right, Steve?
Yeah, I worked for the post office many dreadful years ago, and there were just these machines, all the mail would come in. Well, there's this company with these little red and white envelopes called Netflix. And those things are kicking through every day. And I said,
Netflix.
Yeah, and I knew nothing about stock or anything, but I said, man, I'm seeing this grow so fast just by the amount that was being sent out. So man, it's one of those things where I seen something, I knew there needed to be action, but I was too damn lazy to go learn what the action was. I looked in the newspaper. There used to be like a stock section.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it. So I gave up right there.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, and what it was is it was one of those, I forget what those stocks are called before they're public or whatever. The one I have now used to be the same thing. But anyways, I just let it go.
You're saying before they are actually traded,
right? Yeah,
on the
NASDAQ,
or the Dow or whatever.
Sure, and it's one of those things where I seen something and I did not take action. So and had I bought something with the limited amount of money I had back then, it would be worth a lot right now, right?
So that is absolutely. So it's funny that you just said that, because so I talked to my financial advisor last week. I had a conference call, and it's funny because so he's been doing it for 40 years, and he bought the business, or he came into the business from his dad, right? So he's done it for 40 years, then his dad prior to him, and now his daughter, who's 32 years old, she's in it now, right? So he goes, you remember this company called Apple? Yeah, I do remember that. And he's like, yeah, back in whatever the 80s, right?
Yeah.
You know, that stock came out and it's like 25 cents or whatever. I mean, that wasn't what it was. I don't remember the number. Anyhow, long story short, it's like, you know, you invested $300 you bought 300 shares. I guess let's talk about that. 300 shares, whatever it was. You know, now look at you're never working again in your life, right? 40 years later, 30 years, 35 years later, whatever it is, right? So again, so what I tell him, I said, this is what I said to him, really. So I go, okay, so the stock market the stock market crashed in 87, right? So 1987, the stock market crashed, and that's when people were literally hanging themselves and jumping they were jumping out of the, 20 stories up buildings, and it was all bad, right?
Bad strategy, by the way.
Yeah, don't do that. So anyways, long story short, I tell him this. I say, well, the stock market's like 36,000 for the Dow right now. That's like, I can't, it's never going to get higher than that. He's like, you don't think that people were saying that? And I was like, what? I go, we already missed the boat to invest in Netflix and in Hulu and in Apple and in Tesla and in all these things. And he's like, so what you're telling me is that the greatest minds of this world are gone. They're done inventing, and they're done, and there's no more Silicon. There's no more Silicon Valley college kids that are literally spending every day developing new technology. So you're telling me there's not going to be any new tech companies that's going to take the stock market now from where you're at 40 to when you're at 60, it being at 60,000. It's done at 34,000 just because it was unheard of to ever get to this? No. There's going to be another tech. These people are spending 12, 15, 16 hours a day developing technology and developing, like, you don't think there's going to be a new medicine that comes out that does this or does that? And I'm like, yes, sir. Where do I send my money?
That's it.
So it's that perspective. It's like, it really rocked me, because I'm thinking and I'm just talking about the stock market, guys. Like, I'm not talking about commercial investing in real estate or residential real estate or opening a business and, starting a restaurant or none of that stuff. Like, America is the greatest country to ever exist. And I still believe that today. Yes, we are in some times that are very, very troubled. And I won't get on a tangent in that, but I still believe in my country and the ability in a free market to create wealth however you want. But from a stock market perspective, guys, so right then I'm like, okay, I'm transferring $100,000 to you this week. Like, let's start moving it around. Let's start looking at new tech stocks. Let's start looking at, IPOs that are coming out. And, what it goes back to is I've got 20, I'm not afraid. So let's say the stock market crashes. Let's say we lose, I think in 1987, when it lost 500 and something points in a day, that was unheard of back then. Oh my God, that was like ridiculous, right? So 500 and some odd points it lost in a day, and then people are committing suicide. So you do remember that the crash in 2006 and 7, the housing market crash, right? So just know, guys, and in the 90s the market crashed. So there's going to be ups and downs, ebbs and flows, right? But I have a different perspective now. Why? Because I listened to somebody who's been doing it for 40 years and put things into perspective for me, and it's like, yeah, dude, there are geniuses out there that are developing technology that I can't even fathom. And guess what? It's going to go into a startup, and that startup is going to put out an IPO, and I want to be ahead of that IPO, and I want to be able to invest in that. And so so now I have my financial advisor has me on a different mindset from just that perspective, not to mention the other business avenues and directions that I'm looking at. But so
you're looking at it's scary for somebody to get into something, like I was afraid to research further and get into the Netflix back then, right? But at the same time, when I bought my first house, I bought it for $66,000, and that was extremely high. It's relative to where you are.
It is relative to where you are, and I think that's the reality. Is we look at, and I've done this, guys. I'm speaking from experience. We look at the housing market and we go, oh my God, like, dude, that house 7 years ago was $150,000. Now it's $400,000. Well, so that's where it is, guys. That's what it is. It's $400,000. And instead of sitting and going like, well, it's gonna go back to $150, I'm gonna lose. Like, that's just a bad mindset.
It is, yeah. You got to take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of you, and know that yes, it could go down, and yes, it's likely to go up at some point. But you've got to start somewhere, and you've got to start
somewhere.
Waiting for the perfect Google stock or Tesla or this or that, like you can't just sit back and wait.
No,
you've got to create the opportunity.
Yeah, because time flies, guys, and it's like. It sounds crazy, but every day you lose is a detriment to your overall long-term goals of financial freedom.
So have goals.
Have goals.
First of all, right?
Goals.
You gotta have something.
And you have to understand that there is a risk to investing, and you have to have the mindset that you're prepared to handle the risks of loss, because in that, you're also going to reap the reward of gain.
Yeah, there's also a risk to not investing.
Absolutely.
Like if you're missing out on opportunities to grow your portfolio, to grow financially, to reach your freedom number, like you're risking an opportunity to live better than you're on the current trajectory, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's how do you, there are a lot of people out there, and we talked about this, I don't know, one of the episodes back, where it's like, this billionaire entrepreneur just tells people like, hey, if you're okay with making $200,000 a year, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Yep. Stick it out. I want to see that for you, and I'll help you get there. But I'm not okay. Whatever your goals are, just make sure that you're doing whatever you need to do to achieve those. Like, I'm not saying everybody needs to have the goals to put in 18-hour days of work to create, enough wealth that they don't ever have to work again. If you're good working at the post office, 8 hours, 9 hours a day, building that TSP up, and
how'd you remember that?
I like that TSP, baby. How I remember that? Because I do all your damn people's loans, and that's where they're using their money for their down payment. So, but no, like if you're good with that, that's great. That's great. And if you want to get a little check at 65 or whatever, 70 from Social Security that I know ain't gonna be around when I'm ready to retire, although I've funded the shit out of it.
Yep.
By the way, I'm talking to you, Social Security office. Take a look at my paychecks. Give me my money.
How about a thank you note once in a while?
Give me a thank you. Yeah. And all of this funding that I've been giving to the IRS, it's fantastic. So you're welcome. Anyhow,
it is totally cool to make that, to have the average income $60,000, $80,000, $100,000.
Well, you just have that peace of mind, right?
Yep. But they're probably not watching Rebel Wealth Radio, right? So
they should be.
they should be.
Hey, even if they don't get anything out of it, they get to look at us. We're good to look at.
Lucky. But if you're watching right now, like you're probably one of those like us, where you want more. You're just looking for some ways to get there, some help to get there. And this is your way of surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you gotta start. So I think someone's like, well, okay, so I have $100 to invest. Yes, we're talking just a very small scale. So we use that as an example. Like, obviously, the more you have to invest, the better. But you have $100. So what are you going to do with that $100? Well, I'm going to buy, 10 shares of this at whatever, $10 a share, right? Mm-hmm. That's not the right math, Chris. Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I don't know why I just like in my head second guess myself. I'm like, Chris, you're great at math. I don't know. Anyways, so you do that and leave it. Forget the $100. Like, you mean, think about this. There's so many people out there that have your normal average salary, $60,000, $70,000 a year, that I guarantee you, if I go through their bank statements, they're spending more than $100 a month at Starbucks. So take that $100, put it in, buy 100 or buy 10 shares or whatever. Go buy 100 shares at whatever, $1, and it doesn't matter. I'm trying to make a point that start there. And even if that only grows, let's say you double your money. Well, now you have $200, right? And that's where you have to start. Like, it's such a small scale until people are like, well, that's stupid. That's not. Well, then stay where you're at and don't do anything.
You can do nothing.
And
nothing's going to change.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because
it doesn't have to be stocks. Like, you could take $100 and go to yard sales and turn around and sell stuff on eBay. That idea is, where can I put
this
$1 and get 10 cents back?
Yeah. What is the best use of my time and money? Right. That is what I think is, it's like anything that you and I talk about investing in. It's like, it's cool because we look at it as like, okay, not only are we using this for our personal use, but we're also going to earn income on it. So we think about like, an Airbnb, right? So we buy a property under our corporation and we buy it in let's say Sonoma. I just got back from Sonoma, guys. I just spent 4 days in Sonoma for my birthday and went to the Fairmont, and that is one of the most gorgeous hotels ever. Their spa is probably the best spa in all of California. As a matter of fact, I think it is rated the best spa in all of California. And so there's some homes in Sonoma that are incredible, and it's a destination. And guys, Airbnbs that's where people are going now. Like, a lot of people are wanting to get away from the stresses of going to a hotel and dealing with, masks and vaccination, this and that, and just a bunch of crap, right? So it's like you get an Airbnb. So let's say we buy an Airbnb. We're not just saying, okay, well, we're going to go drop $1 million on an Airbnb and that's just going to be our use. No, we're like,
no,
or a second home, whatever you want to call it. We're like, okay, so we buy an Airbnb under the corporation and we're going to say, okay, 2 weeks out of the year, these are our 2 weeks. These are your 2 weeks, whatever. And guess what? The rest of the time, that's cash cow.
Yep.
Cash flow it, right?
So it's not just making money. It's not profitable. It's also a destination where we want to be.
Where you want to be.
Right? Where how can we get around more people that are like us, right? You're doing it on the golf course with billionaires.
And that was really cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
I bet it was.
Oh, my God, yeah. I didn't know he was a billionaire until after I was done golfing.
Oh, you must have known. Don't they dress special?
Nope.
Didn't he have like golden toothbrush?
Nothing, dude. The guy, as a matter of fact, I think my outfit cost more than his.
I believe it. Yeah, you. I bet your TV's probably bigger than his too.
Yeah, definitely. My house is not. I mean, the guy's selling a house that's listed for $60 million right now.
That's the thing. A billionaire doesn't have anything to prove to anybody. They're
so humble, dude. He was like the most humble dude ever. He was like cool. He's a member at the country club we were playing at, and he's charting out the course for me, and so it was really cool. He wasn't supposed to be in my group, but those God divine appointments, I swear, I say it all the time. Like, I was teeing off at 11:40 and they were stuck on the tee box, and he was like, hey, join us. And I was like, whoa, sounds great. Didn't even know who he was, didn't know, and then at the end of it, he took us to the clubhouse, paid for drinks for us, and bought me a salad too. What a nice guy.
Cool, man. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like, sorry, we got off track. What were you saying about that?
Well, I was just saying, it's deeper. You can have everything you want and still make money. Like, what will be profitable on that Airbnb in Sonoma because it's already paying for itself. All we have is our initial down, but we're also building equity.
That's the thing. We're building equity, and we're paying the mortgage through. We're paying the mortgage through a rental.
Yeah, right? But what if the market drops?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This is what's smart. Who cares what the market does? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, it doesn't matter what the house is worth. When you're strategic on your business portfolio and you're planning, you're buying a house in Sonoma. Okay. Well, let's talk about who visits Sonoma. Any and everyone who has lots of money. And guess what? The rich, they continue to stay rich in any market. So they're going to travel regardless. So guess what? Who cares if that house was $1 million when we bought it and it dropped down to $600,000? I don't care, because it's always going to be rented.
And it's always going to put us around the right people.
Yes. And it's always going to it's a great social piece. So you have, you can, the people that you connect with that are wealthy, and that have, and even if they're not wealthy, but they're influenced, they're a good positive influence and they have connections. You have that that piece is like, hey, let's go down to our place in Sonoma. We'll spend the weekend and we'll chart out our plan for the next year. But the mindset is like, I don't care if I bought it at $1 million, it's at 600,000, because then when the market switches again, now it's going to be 1.7 million when I'm ready to. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you have to have that mindset that, you know, you're investing, and you know, maybe someone at 70 years old probably doesn't have that mindset because they're already at that retirement age, but we have a lot more time than them.
Yeah, and it's just, you got to, based on where you're at, if you're 20, you should be risking all of it.
100%.
Right? You got nothing to lose. You can start over 4 more times. But that person that is 70, now you got to start to manage your risk a little bit. Doesn't mean stop investing, but you know, you got to make sure that you have enough to sustain you, because you're not going to go pick up a sledgehammer and start working for somebody.
That's
tomorrow.
right. And I think, you know, for me, I've learned that in this last 5 years really of my life. Like, you know, I just turned 40, and I'm now really like, yes, I've done well for myself. The last 18 years in mortgage, I've done well. And I've definitely am better off than any of my family members and a lot of people I know personally. But I'm nowhere near where I want to be. And I feel like now at 40, I don't feel like, oh, it's too late. I feel like I have plenty of time. 40, but dude, I'm young, and I'm coachable, and I'm hungry. So,
and not to say we're not grateful. Like, I'm grateful for where I am, but I'm happily dissatisfied compared to where I believe God created me to be.
Yep. So,
my son just walked in. That's why I'm just waving at you.
Waving on the camera. Don't worry about that.
Yep.
Hey guys. So yeah, man, I just, it's good to have a plan. It's good to put things, you know, in motion, but it's also, you know, it's like you have to start somewhere, whether you have $100 or you have $1,000, get it invested, get it going.
Oh, I just went and looked at, you know, we're waiting for the RV thing to play out. Everybody bought RVs. Selling them.
I just dropped my brother's trailer off at All Seasons. That's a plug, by the way. So I expect a check in the mail. All Seasons. I dropped it off this morning, and I was talking to the guy a little bit about that, and he was like, yeah, you know, I'm starting to see a lot of people that bought them last year. They're trying to dump them now. It's like, we knew that was going to happen.
I just stepped on a lot yesterday to go look at them, man. Those things are like palaces in there.
The fifth wheels are amazing.
Yeah.
Did you look at a fifth wheel?
That's what I looked at.
Yeah. So the fifth wheels, like the trailers are cool. But man, if you look at like those Montana fifth wheels, dude, I'm telling you, you know, I'll tell you this. It's funny. I was pulling my brother's trailer. He's got it's just a normal, I think it's like maybe 28 feet or something like that. And it's an older one. It's an 05. And dude, I hooked it up to my 1500, and I'm like, you know, I've got a beefy truck, right? So it's lifted. It's got big old 35-inch tires on it. I'm like, dude, I'm a man. Whoa, what's up? Like, I hooked it up to my trailer. The truck said like this, and then I was driving it around. I was driving it around town, and I'm like, dude, this thing's struggling. I'm not a man anymore. Like this.
No.
I'm like, I don't want a trailer.
Yours isn't a diesel?
No.
Oh,
Thanks for calling me out on live TV.
Yep. Sorry, man. Well, when you said it was bogged down, I always thought that was the diesel.
No. So when we were looking at trucks in January, I've always wanted a truck, and I just get, dude, I'm like $70,000 for a.
Oh my god.
This is ridiculous. Like, what world do we live in where a truck is $70,000? And I'm like, so I could just do what I always do and settle. I had a beautiful LT Tahoe, gorgeous and fully loaded, captain's chairs. Like, it was gorgeous. And but I've always wanted a truck, and so I'm like, okay, well, we'll go look for one. This was back when, in January of this year, when, you know, everything was back ordered. You couldn't even get air in your tires for 6 months. So if you got a flat, the air is back ordered for 6 months because of COVID, guys, right? Can't get air. It's just the stupidest thing ever. But anyhow, so the diesels were like back ordered, but so then I saw that truck already set up on the lot exactly how I wanted it. I test drove it. I was like, okay, this is the one. Let's just do it. And so I pulled the trigger on it, and I did for multiple reasons. One, the diesels are back ordered. Two, they're another $15,000 more. I was already way over my price. I went in. This was my goal. I said by the end of 2020, 2021. Sorry, forget what year we're in. So by the end of 2021, I'm going to buy a new truck. So I'm just going to pay cash for it, but I'm going to put aside, like I could have paid cash for it at the beginning of the year, but I'm like, I'm going to put aside a truck fund, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to pay cash for it. So January hits, and I was going to put $4,000 a month for 12 months. And then in December, that'd give me $48,000, and I just go buy a truck, right? And
what kind of truck?
What the hell kind of truck are you going to get for $48,000?
Honda Civic?
Dude, it's so I went looking in January, and I'm like, so my budget just went from $48,000 to $70,000 because there is nothing that I want for $48,000, and I'm not going to settle. Like, that's what I do every time. And then I'm like, I just literally blew $48,000. So I ended up going with that truck because it was already set up how I wanted. It had the lift, it had the tires, the rims, it had the bed liner. Dude, it was fully loaded. The only thing it didn't have was leather, which I bought the leather package and actually had a custom leather diamond leather design put in it. Anyways, I'm going off on a tangent here. So that truck was $70,000, and I got 0% interest for 72 months. So for me, it was no different than me saving up $50,000, right? Because I'm not paying a penny in interest. So no interest. And obviously I'm not going to finance it for 72 months. It stresses me out to even have that payment, right? And be paying on that. I just don't like payments. Just rather just get it all done with. Anyways, why were we talking about truck? Oh,
no idea.
I didn't get a diesel.
Oh yeah.
What the hell just happened? I got off on a damn tangent about a Chevy truck. Oh my God. This episode's coming to an end from a talking about a diesel versus a gas truck. Anyways, I love my truck, but definitely a diesel. If you're going to pull anything, get a diesel. Yeah. Definitely get a diesel.
And get some airbags in the back so you can raise so it doesn't sag.
My brother actually just had to install it. So he has like a 2015. He had to install airbags on his truck to pull his thing because it was sagging it down too much. I don't need that. I have a lift on my truck, and I'm not pulling anything anyways after today. I'll pull my jet skis. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, I know we got off on a tangent, but just to recap, guys, if you have $100, invest it. If you have $1,000, invest it. Start making moves towards the goals that you have, and start reaching out to Steve because he will get you on the right path. And obviously we're both here to help. And, we want to see other people be successful and buy themselves their first Chevy truck, diesel.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you actually have a diesel, don't you?
I have two. I have my favorite one is the old.
I've got one truck, guys. This guy's got two.
Well, my other one's like probably a classic now. It's a 2000, but that's the one I.
Oh, that's the beast. That's got the 7.3. You cannot beat that. That's the best engine for. I'm a Chevy guy, but that 7.3 is bulletproof.
It is
bulletproof,
and it's got airbags, so I can help your brother if you need to.
And with that, we are bulletproof and we are out. Thanks, guys.